National Correspondent Erin Real joining me again on the Scott Sands Show. I didn't expect today for us to be talking about the presidential race being called. I'm quite surprised by this.
You know what? I might be the only one, and it's not like I'm Nostradamus. There's a 50-50 chance here, but I did think, I didn't think it was going to be as close as everyone else did. I thought it was going to be closer to a landslide for the simple reason that I report so much on finance and economics. And when it comes to presidential races, I've done this for 20 years now. If people don't feel good about their finances, the incumbent doesn't stay. It's that simple. It always has been. And that's kind of what we saw. And while the economy is by all metrics doing well, individuals don't feel well. And the data for the economy does not vote in the presidential election. The people do.
Well, and I think Democrats in the Kamala Harris campaign completely missed that memo as they were trying to portray her policies, or lack thereof, to the general public. Now, I'm not expecting you to dive into that, but I think that's where the Democrats really missed opportunities to lay out a plan and to distance herself from Joe Biden over the last 4 years.
For sure. Yeah. And that was not completed. And, treating people as if their real life of not being able to put gas in the car and food on the table is simply in their head. Come on, the economy is great, that no one wants that. And yes, the two things can be true at the same time. The economy is great by all metrics, GDP, employment, Fed's beginning to lower rates. But interest rates are still high if you want a 30-year fixed mortgage. And know what? That's what people want. They need to borrow money. And frankly, they need higher wage growth in order to combat inflation that is no longer here, but the effects of still linger in the form of high prices.
So since we're talking about the economic impact and how the markets have reacted, last night around 7:30, 8 o'clock last night, as the polls were starting to close, I looked at the futures market and I looked at Bitcoin and saw huge momentum to the upside, and thought the markets are baking in that Donald Trump is going to win this thing. I went long on ES futures last night around 8 o'clock, 8:30, picked up 100 points throughout the night on ES futures. Bitcoin was up 2,000 after hours, and it's up about 4,000 or 5,000 today. Now, to peel the curtain back behind the scenes, Erin Real and I are talking earlier this morning, so a lot may change between the time we talk and the time this makes it to the radio. But the markets are responding favorably to Donald Trump's election.
Big time. They opened really strong. Futures markets were all strong. Bitcoin, you mentioned that. It's trading just below 75,000 right now as of Eastern Standard Time in New York in the morning, just before noon. But this could all change, because if you look at the data going back to the 1980s, actually 1980 itself, it suggests that the markets, they tend to gain quite a bit between Election Day and the New Year's, but they typically fall in the session the week after the vote. That's why we need to look carefully what's going to happen later today, the rest of the week, into next week. Like, is this the exuberance post-day? What is this? Is this real? And then beyond that, lest we forget, there is a Fed meeting today.
Right. Yeah.
And we're probably going to get a 25 basis point cut tomorrow from the Federal Reserve. Again, this does not necessarily translate to an immediate drop in the 30-year fixed mortgage rate. No, they take a while to work through the economy, but more favorable interest rates are great. But, that goes to a bigger question. What is Trump going to do with Jerome Powell, Fed chair? Is he going to put someone more hawkish, more dovish? What are we going to look at there? How is that going to look? And Trump has said that he wants a say in what the Federal Reserve does. Reminder, the Federal Reserve is an independent body that serves a public need. It's the officials are not elected, nor do they want to get reelected. And, it gives me a lot of solace, and I sleep better at night knowing that the Fed is generally just a bunch of huge nerds trying their best to keep the wheels on this thing we call the U.S. economy, and that their prerogative is not to get reelected, which is kind of nice.
Unfortunately, what we've seen from the Fed over the last few years is that they're woefully behind in what's actually happening with the economy, and they were slow to raise interest rates to avoid a recession or whatever you want to call what the economic downturn after the pandemic was. And I think they've been slow to cut interest rates as the economy has improved.
Yes, there's a strong argument to be made for that. And there's a strong argument to be made that Biden didn't appoint a Fed chair quick enough. I believe he was appointed in 2022 or something, like November 2022. Listen, I fundamentally believe the Fed is doing their best to help the U.S. economy. I do. Do they always get it exactly right? No, they do not. But economists, like, I don't think they're like fundamentally evil because they're economists, but they get it wrong all the time. It just depends on the data set you're looking at and your predictions. Like, this is theory, but and some of it art more than science. Yes, science is mixed in, but they are doing their best. Now, will it remain that way? Will it look that way going forward? Will they make better decisions under new management? Maybe, maybe not.
We're talking to national correspondent Erin Real here on the Scott Sand Show. With the Fed potential rate cut tomorrow, expected rate cut tomorrow, will also be interesting to see how the markets react to that. A lot of this is baked in already, and usually on the news, we may see a drop tomorrow after the announcement.
Yeah, and we do have to stand by for that. Again, I'm more interested to see what the markets look like at Friday's close than they do the day after the election. We expect exuberance the day after the election, kind of regardless of which way it went, almost. Yeah. But it is a Trump win, and now to see how they perform over the next week and throughout the end of the year is going to be more indicative of what we're headed towards.
Yesterday, we talked about Trump Media, his media company behind Truth Social. That soared this morning, as you might expect. I think it was as high as $44, $45. It's dropped about $9. It's still in the green as of the time you and I are talking, but obviously a lot of people capitalized on the Trump victory with Trump Media stock.
Indeed. DJT, that's the ticker symbol under which it trades on the NASDAQ. This thing makes GameStop look like super calm. It is the ultimate meme stock. It is up and down. Like right now it's trading at like $36. If you look at it over the past year, though, it's performed really well. But again, this has absolutely zero tie to fundamentals of the company, the media company that is under it's called Trump Media and Technology Group, but Truth Social, Trump's basically Twitter operates under it, and it is a money loser. It doesn't have a lot of growth. It is not performing well, but the stock itself performs quite well with perceived wins and losses in Trump's life. A second presidential win, very much a life win.
And a huge personal financial gain today with Trump's victory and the interest, the shares that Donald Trump personally owns in Truth Social and Trump Media. Here's my prediction and the huge conflict of interest this creates. First of all, I think Trump legally has to step away from that stock as he's inaugurated. I could be wrong about that, but my prediction and the conflict of interest here is because of his new alliance with Elon Musk. Does Elon Musk buy Trump Media and absorb that into the operation of X, formerly Twitter?
It would make more sense if X continues to operate as it is today. Elon Musk has said many times he wants to make X into like the everything app. They have this in China where like you literally, the name's escaping me right now. But it's, I can't, I'm going to be so frustrated. I'm going to hang up the phone and remember the name. But it's this app where you do like literally all the stuff from like pay your taxes to send the Uber driver the money to your kids checking at school. Like literally
I think it's WeChat.
Everything.
WeChat maybe?
Weibo. Weibo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Waymo. Wait, no.
We're so close. We're circling it.
Yeah, someone's like screaming at their radio right now, being like, "This is it." They know what it is, but these exist, and that's what Elon Musk wants to turn X into. Now, if that's what he's doing, I think he's less interested in buying Truth Social. Also, massive conflict of interest. There's huge government contracts out there for Elon Musk. I don't know how this is going to work out. They're going to have to figure this out too. But yes, it could be something. But actually, at one point, this is kind of amazing. I believe it was like a couple days ago, 3 or 4 days ago. They're all kind of blending into one with a lack of sleep. But Truth Social Trump, like DJT.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, thank you. It was worth more on paper than X. And that's like, that just shows you like, these are valuations. They are not company profits. It's a different thing, and they aren't treated as such.
Yeah, there's absolutely no foundation and fundamentals for either X or Truth Media.
Right, exactly. No, it's not tied to. It's a meme stock. And listen, you can make money trading meme stocks. Right. I'm not being mean to it. It's just, do not think that this is going to perform like, I don't know, GM. Like, it's not. Like, yeah.
you're not getting into DJT for the long-term investment by any means.
Right. And like, I'm not admonishing anyone who likes it. Sure. Like there's plenty of things you can make money on. If you have a higher risk tolerance, go for it. And if you don't, step away. Again, not investment advice, just opining.
I don't want to throw you. We're talking to Erin Real, follower on X at the Erin Real. I don't want to throw you a curveball here because I haven't looked today yet either. How has the election affected maybe the currency markets? Have you looked?
Yes, dollar way up. A lot of this has to do. It's actually the highest it's been since July. It's on the belief that there's going to be these Trump tariffs, so that's boosting the greenback because if you want to import anything, you're going to need to pay the tariff in US dollars. So that's a big one. Also, another interesting one, the 10-year Treasury, which is like a long-term investment vehicle, that is doing quite well. The yield on that up 4.4%. This is on the assumption that tax cuts under Trump is going to spark growth. And then, of course, DJT also flying high. And then, there's like the big Trump trades, like Bitcoin way up, as we discussed. You're seeing prisons, private prisons, those are up. Financials, big financials also up. Tesla, not surprisingly, even though it's an EV company, right, up 13%. No, want to know what's not up today? Solar.
Huh. Weird.
Any like renewables and stuff like that. They're all up because the market is up across the board, but not performing like other things.
Banking stocks were up on the expectation of cut regulations. I'm sure oil stocks are up. I haven't looked at that sector yet today. But all the sectors that you would expect were certainly up at the time that Erin and I are chatting this morning. And hopefully holds true throughout the afternoon. The Erin Real on X, national correspondent Erin Real here on the Scott Sand Show. We talked yesterday briefly, just to kind of wrap things up today, about the betting markets, which have proven to be remarkably accurate compared to the national polling data.
Yes, these predictive markets like the Poly market, Kalashi or the other one, there's some of them out there, and they kind of call this. But what was interesting is over the weekend you saw Kamala Harris take this big jump and was trading above Trump. So people are like, whoa, do they think she's going to win? And this is where predictive markets, they're not designed to actually, they want to know who the winner is, but they're designed to make money.
Right.
So if there's a dollar to be made either selling or buying, the contract that is based upon the assumption that a certain candidate will win or lose, then they're going to do that. So that's why you can see like maybe the price was good for buying Harris, so people did it. And then that moved the markets a different way. Again, these are not polls. Polls are a snapshot in time of sentiment, where the predictive market is like a future outlook of something that might happen. But again, it's a living, breathing market. So it has like if you can make money off of it, you're going to make money off of it regardless to who you actually think the winner is going to be, which means that it's fundamentally designed a different way. Now, all of that said, the winner is it's a bet. It's a bet, just like any other bet. You want to bet on the winner, but within that, there's secondary and tertiary positions you can place in any sort of contract market or any sort of future. Like it's a derivative, so it operates like a future or a put or a call or a swap, any of those.
So to put it into sports gambling terms, you might have 6 or 7 bets for the football games this weekend that are paying minus 110, minus 150 that are pretty good bets. And you might put some money on all 6 or 7 of those games individually, and then you get kind of wild and crazy, put them into a 7-leg parlay that's going to pay off plus 10,000, and the likelihood of that hitting is far less.
Right. That's actually like a great analogy. And that's why when we were like, no, you can't bet on presidential elections, I don't know, you probably remember when like we didn't allow betting like in certain places.
Oh, crazy old days.
Right now we're like, whatever, sure, go for it. It's cool. Like every state can allow it. So yes, and now we're doing it with markets for presidential elections too.
National correspondent Erin Real, follower on X, the Erin Real. Erin, it's great to have you back on the Scott Sand Show.
Thanks, Scott. Have a great day.